It's not that out of the ordinary for you to get a demo batch of pre-workout and you miscalculate the dosing. It's happened all the time. I don't see a big deal. What is up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Today's ASMR sip is some black coffee. Still piping hot. ASMR spritz, intelligent iron. There are your noises. All right, today is a BS clout grab. So I am going to be weighing in on the Tren twins situation in a way where I'm just more giving licks towards the Tren twins because I've watched this situation unfold and it's just, I don't know, I kind of relate to it the way I was their age and how they have like a way bigger platform and how, you know, Andrew knew me back then. I was doing like burnouts in my charger all the time, going crazy on tons of androgens and just completely hot as fuck. And it seems like they're much more controlled than I was at their age. But essentially, the Tren twins tried out their own custom pre-workout. They took too much pre-workout. Mike survived. He's bulletproof. The extra deletion of the chromosome just made him impervious to whatever he was taking. And then Chris was apparently puking and shitting. Now, to me personally, who has done a lot in supplement development and has received demo batches before, I have received demo batches that were actually incorrect. I don't really see the big deal of Chris going to the hospital over this. Obviously, when your name is the Tren twins and you have the platform you have at such a young age, all the jealous old fucks and every clout leech, including me if I wanted to, would be weighing in on how it's super dangerous, blah, blah, blah. The steroids did it. I already saw all the rumors circulating and wanted to see where it settled after they got out of the hospital, because when you make a video like this, and I'll have Andrew throw it up.
Excuse me. Holy shit.
Nice.
How you feeling, Chris?
Yeah. They made a video in the hospital. They're poking fun at it. They're asking for the attention, but I don't think they're expecting the 180 turn on them so hard, because I've never personally been to the hospital over caffeine overdose, but I've had tons of friends who have caffeine overdose, had to go to the hospital, right? It's not that out of the ordinary for you to get a demo batch of pre-workout and you miscalculate the dosing. It's happened all the time. I don't see a big deal. I think the moral of the story, personally, for the Tren twins, if they're watching, is that you're on tons of gear. You're on tons of roids. You don't need stims. Go stim free. I almost exclusively use stim free pre-workouts because I'm on synthetic androgens, steroids, SARMs, and I would not mix stims constantly while being an enhanced bodybuilder. Which you guys want to be enhanced bodybuilders, you guys need to switch towards vasodilation. You know, kind of forget the stims unless you're powerlifting, maxing out. Right? If you have a big day or you're maxing out, okay, roll with the stims. If you are doing stimulant every day, while on PEDs, you're just making your BP worse. That can be tested. That's way more heartbeats, way more stress, and it's interfering with the gear anyways, where it's really hard mitigating the gear if you're using vasodilators, slightly lowering your BP, expanding all your blood vessels, and not really adding stuff that constricts them or stims up your BP. That's the way to go, and that's the way I want to see them go after this traumatic incident. Now, I'm gonna weigh in on Greg Doucette. So they had a beef with Greg Doucette.
Imagine that. Killed by caffeine.
Channel renamed the Tren twin. It's just Mike now.
I don't know the true story. I don't know exactly who's right, who's wrong here. But what I do know is that it didn't end good. You have these two young stars and they are just being piranha'd by the entire fitness industry. I'm sure it's annoying, and they thought they could trust Greg. Maybe Greg did one thing bad. There goes the relationship. Greg tries to make it up. They're done. There's still two massive public figures that want to have some sort of peace online. The Tren twins go to war instead. My lick with that would be, that wasn't really a war worth waging. I see a lot of wars waged against Greg that really don't equate to anything, you know, as far as a victory or loss. It just seems to be a complete waste of time, and that is how Greg rolls with his content, right? Greg has he's like the master spider. He has a web and he's in everything, and if you're playing his game, he's gonna win. And it really does seem like they were really offended by the pre-workout Killed by Caffeine title that Greg Doucette immediately made, and they decided to go in on a secondary excursion with him that I don't really think yielded anything for the Tren twins. Again, if they're watching, you guys are already on top. You guys have to pick your wars extremely strategically, and honestly, you should have turned your back to it all and just put the blinders on and went right back into it. I know, like, they say in their vlog, Andrew pulled up, like, their parents for flipping out and everything. Like,
yeah, my dad called me last night. It wasn't even, you know, my dad, there was no, is he okay? It was just straight, we're dumbasses the whole time.
An overdose on a pre-workout that's not fully ready to go, that could happen. There's nothing out of the ordinary. I know they want the public to know that angle that I'm saying, and I believe that angle personally. It's just, they just gotta move on. You're not gonna rectify it. All the clout leeches, I've already skewed the story enough, and it's just one of those things where, yeah, gotta eat the punch, roll with it, move on, and honestly just duck out. I recently seen that they wrecked their, I think it was a Hellcat, swerving for a cat. At this point, just my friendly licks is like, your karma tables are fucked up. Your karma's bad. You honestly need to zone in, lock away from all the bullshit that's going on, and just hyper fixate on creating a daily schedule where your output of content, your progression of your money is 10 times better than it was before you went in the hospital, before you wrecked the Trackhawk. Right, you got to use this as a chapter switch. You guys just had a chapter end, and this is the new chapter where you two actually leverage your platform to the max. This is one of those things where, like, I've never had a platform like the Tren twins. It's always been like this extreme grind where you guys always see me just grinding endlessly. I've never had a platform where I'm a big influencer. I can throw up 3 really quality videos a month that are my vibe, and that's all I really need to do. I'm saying, like, the Tren twins can get away with that. They really are that polarizing on camera. I love the brother dichotomy. They're very entertaining. I'm always laughing with actual authentic dopamine. They don't do fake dopamine. It's a real ass conversation, and I see that. What I don't see is them realizing that the average influencer, and I just say this, like, I just throw this out there, the average influencer, what is their career length? I'll have Andrew throw it up. You need to be in that spotlight, turning into businessmen, which you guys seem to be doing. I don't see the output of a businessman. With Greg Doucette, I see the fucking output of a businessman. You may not agree with his content or like his content style or like how he deals with publicity, how he is poking at everyone, but I do see the extreme output that I think the Tren twins should learn from Greg and replicate into original, authentic content. I think a good lick from Greg was like, oh, you want to see, you know, them compete, they're eating crumble, they're not competing, you know, they're not amounting to anything. I do think the Tren twins should put the blinders on and just become those 2 guys. The guys they think they can't be, they should become those 2 guys. And I feel like this is a good turning point in their roller coaster of, you know, they're just lifting for fun. They're just twin brothers, you know, the Tren twins. It's funny. Okay, here comes the sponsorships. Here comes the sponsorship money. Here comes the international clout. Here comes all the pressure to entertain this audience. Here comes all the clout piranhas, clout leeches to try and fuck up their image. Here comes the, oh, we're still young kids, need to grow up and have this experience of our brain fully developing. Remember, your brain's not fully developed till 25, and they're having that experience in such an extreme spotlight. All I'm saying is 2 traumatic events happened, and when I totaled my Charger, I totaled that motherfucker real bad. And yeah, that was a wake-up call. That was a wake-up call. That was a redoing of my life. I started working way harder after I totaled my Charger. I remember when I got home, my parents screamed at me, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter that I was on bald tires and hydroplaned. It's obviously still my fault, even though if my mom or sister wrecked a car with bald tires and hydroplaned, everyone would be like, oh, it's no big deal. For me, it's a big deal. I just moved on. I hunkered down, I worked way harder, and I used that to condense in, put the blinders on, and continue pushing forward. I would really like to see the Tren twins just duck these way better. I know this one was tough because you have this brand image and you have guys who are so jealous of the attention that you are getting constantly, and you guys are making original content, which is even harder to get this level of attention constantly. All these jealous dudes want to smear that image. Trust me, I've been dealing with dudes trying to smear my image as well, and it's always interesting to see how they're still fixated on you guys. They're still fixated on Mike and Chris. Turn the blinders on. I know for a fact that the Tren twins in 3 years will be a ridiculous evolution as far as businessmen of the current younger Tren twins that are just trying to figure their lives out in a big spotlight. I don't think there's anything fucking wrong with overdosing on pre-workout. I don't think they almost fucking died. I do think that they're tooted up, rightfully so, and instead of being tooted up at all this bullshit that's smearing their brand image, they gotta take that fire, stop spraying it at Greg, and spray it at their own business, and then success will be the greatest revenge for them. I'll see you guys in my next video.